So we're in this thing together, huh?
You sure are.
Two teenagers want to be TV dance show stars, and girls just want to have fun this week at the movies.
And Chuck Norris is Detective Sergeant Eddie Cusack in the new thriller Code of Silence.
That's This Week at the Movies, the movie review program. Chuck Norris stars in Code of Silence this week at the movies, the movie review program.
Our subject this week in a special show is the resurgence of massive muscles and good-looking bodies in current Hollywood movies. I'm Gene Siskel, film critic of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times. On this special edition of At the Movies called Flex, Pecs, and Sex, we're going to be taking an analytical look at muscles in the movies. And Gene starts with some thoughts about how this whole physical fashion got started.
If you look at a book of old movie star photographs, one thing really stands out. They all looked, as Billy Crystal now says, marvelous. The movie people years ago truly were the beautiful people. For example, who else? Clark Gable sweeping Vivien Leigh off her feet in Gone with the Wind.
It's not that easy, Scarlett. You turned me out while you chased Ashley Wilkes, while you dreamed of Ashley Wilkes. There's one night you're not turning me out.
What a man and what a woman. Beautiful figures such as those would remain the standard in the movie industry for 3 decades, until the revolutionary spirit of the late 60s and early 70s made stars out of average-looking guys, like Dustin Hoffman, first in Midnight Cowboy, and later in The Marathon Man. Another plain-looking star, Gene Hackman, winning an Academy Award in The French Connection, suddenly, looking ordinary, was beautiful. Gene Hackman once described his face as looking like a potato. That's how far things changed from the beautiful days of Clark Gable. But in the late 70s, the gorgeous body would begin to make a comeback with, appropriately, a most old-fashioned heroic film, the boxing epic Rocky. And the most compelling scenes in the picture involve Sylvester Stallone getting his body in shape. Now, Sylvester Stallone's popularity when he takes his shirt off continued into the 1980s with all the Rocky films and with his triumphant Vietnam veteran character John Rambo in First Blood and the sequel called Rambo, which is being advertised in a way that really sells Stallone's body. That's selling muscles. Now, you only have to look at the film career of Sylvester Stallone to understand the point of this show. When Stallone takes his shirt off in the Rocky films and the Rambo films, he's a hit. When he keeps his shirt on in, say, Fist or Victory or Rhinestone, he can be a flop. Of course, the scripts of those films have much more to do with their success or failure than anything else. But there's no denying that Sylvester Stallone has a strong, charismatic, physical appeal for men and women in the audience, and that his success with all the Rocky films would foreshadow a whole host of performers for whom looking good now would lead to their films selling well. Muscles have really made a comeback in the movies.
Well, I think you're right about this entire thing that's happened in the last 10 years or so. And one of the interesting things is that a lot of these characters, and you mentioned Stallone, you could also mention on television Mr. T, who got his start in the Rocky movies. And then, of course, Mr. T, in a way, I think has spun off all of the wrestling stars on TV, like Hulk Hogan.
Right.
These are all kind of very simple comic book characters that teenagers, and even younger teenagers, can really identify with, because they see them in very black and white ways, and there's almost always in these movies a structure so that at the end there's a confrontation and everybody takes off their shirts and they have all these muscles and it's good versus evil. Very simple, very dramatic, very straightforward.
You know, what I think may be happening is simply the pendulum swinging. I mean, there may be nothing more to all of this than the pendulum swinging. And we got away from good-looking people in the movies, and now we're getting back to good-looking people in the movies. And in about 10 years, I think we'll be doing another theme show, The Return of the Ordinary-Looking Man and Woman. What do you think?
Well, that would be somebody we could identify with.
You
Next
bet.
at the movies, the first man to make it from the bodybuilding competitions to the box office competitions.
What's up?
Very soon, some of you will notice a change in Doritos. Doritos, now with more nacho cheese flavor than ever. Definitely.
Inside this bottle is hair care so advanced, it actually works inside your hair. Introducing New Style Shampoo and Conditioner. New Style works deep inside your hair, deep inside each hair, with natural collagen protein to moisturize, help mend, to bring out your hair's natural body and shine. New Style Shampoo and Conditioner. More beautiful hair.
From the inside out.
New Style.
Ernie, isn't there an easier way to make crackers than stone milling?
Not as uncommonly good as Keebler Stone Creek crackers. Taste.
That is uncommonly good.
Stone Creek cracked wheat, hearty rye, and sourdough crackers all taste uncommonly good, because we use stone milled grain.
But that's hard work.
Would you rather we made ordinary crackers?
Keebler makes Stone Creek and all these crackers and cookies uncommonly good.
How many calories in this luscious, creamy, rich salad dressing? Fewer than you think, because this is new Hidden Valley Ranch reduced calorie dressing with all the thick, creamy taste you'd expect at only 35 calories a tablespoon. It makes the difference between a salad that's sensible and one that's almost sinful. New Hidden Valley Ranch reduced calorie dressing. 35 calories that taste like a million.
The one man generally credited with making bodybuilding into a major mainstream sport is Arnold Schwarzenegger, the ambitious Austrian who came to this country as a teenager and conquered the world of muscles. He won all of the big bodybuilding titles, but he had his sights set higher on show business. At first, Arnold was considered to be too muscular to be in the movies. Casting agents slammed the door when they saw him standing there, or at least the part of him they could see through the door. And in his first screen appearance in Stay Hungry, a movie made in 1976, Sally Field put him down for the way he looked.
What's the matter with you, baby?
Well, don't you think this dress is a little bit out of place?
So what if it is? It doesn't matter to me. At least I don't look like Buffalo Bill.
A 1977 documentary named Pumping Iron explored the world of serious bodybuilding and portrayed Arnold Schwarzenegger not only just as a muscle man, but also as a guy with some intelligence and humor.
7, damn 8, come on, 9, keep going, 10, come on, horse, that's 11, come on, go, come on now, 5, 6, 7, come on now, 1, yeah, 2, come on, 3, come on, 4, yeah, 5, yeah.
Schwarzenegger's big box office break came in two movies inspired by a prehistoric character named Conan. Here he is with Grace Jones in last year's Conan the Destroyer. Arnold Schwarzenegger turned his physical condition into a movie career. Among women, it worked the other way around. The actress Jane Fonda, who had been a movie star since the 1960s, became an expert on her own physical fitness and used her movie popularity to help promote the biggest selling video cassette of all time, Jane Fonda's Workout.
2, stretch, 4, double time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and inhale. Stretch it up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Recently in her movie roles, you could start to see Fonda taking a certain well-earned pride in those exercises and in the well-toned body that they gave her, which had her looking better in her 40s than she did in her 20s. She looks a lot better, for example, in On Golden Pond than she does in Barbarella, which at the time was supposed to be her looking good movie. Here's a significant scene showing that. It's from On Golden Pond.
Be sure you go up, not just back, up and back.
Oh, I'm scared.
Don't be scared of that. That's one of the easiest times of all.
I'm scared anyway.
Don't do it. Doesn't matter if you don't do the stupid dive. It's not important.
I did it!
They did it! Yes, they did it!
There are obviously a lot of differences between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jane Fonda, but the similarity is that both of them found a profitable connection between well-publicized physical fitness and their movie acting careers. There was the time in the 1960s when audiences probably would have laughed at stars who seemed proud of their physique. Certainly by the late 60s, a star like Rock Hudson,
Troy Donahue,
they were in trouble at the box office because they looked too handsome for taste at that time. But that was a long time ago, and Schwarzenegger and Fonda have helped once again to make muscle tone seem sexy.
I think Schwarzenegger's stardom is absolutely unbelievable. You mentioned the fact of the way he looks like a cartoon. How can you take him seriously in a movie role? What about his accent too? I mean, he doesn't speak the king's, queen's, or even the prince's English. It's amazing. So really what he has to sell, that magnificent body, and an attitude about himself, must be very appealing. We're talking about a real quality that people want to see in movies.
And I think you put your finger on it when you said attitude, because it's not just the muscles.
Right.
There are other muscle stars like Lou Ferrigno, who will always be playing variations of the Incredible Hulk, but what Arnold has, First of all, I think he has a sense of humor. He doesn't
Right.
come out there and say, you know, get down on your knees, look how fabulous I am. He's saying, I'm having fun being me, I'm having fun being this character, and I'm enjoying this. He has a sense of well-being that he exudes.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, and I remember something that John Wayne said years ago when he was seeing the movie industry really slip away from what he had done, the classical times, and he was seeing a whole generation of imploding actors, Pacino, Nicholson, and all this. John Wayne said that we've gotten into trouble in the movie industry because we're not getting actors who play it out, a straight emotion, and play it out broadly, you know, like Cagney used to do, or Bogart used to do, or like John Wayne used to do. I think the pendulum is swinging back maybe a little bit on acting style, in the sense that the Terminator's success is, here's a big man with a big gun, and you have the same thing with Dirty Harry and Clint Eastwood. I mean, there is a real desire to see that strong physical being in
Well,
movies.
I think you're right, especially among teenagers who represent more than 50% of the tickets sold in theaters right now. Coming up next at the movies, we're going to meet an even younger generation of performers who are also looking good.
Continuing our investigation of the new emphasis on good-looking bodies in the movies, after Rocky, I think the most influential film of all in this trend is Flashdance, a film that celebrated a young woman's almost maniacal drive to succeed. Well, you can see what they're selling in that scene, a firm body. And the not-so-buried message of the movie is, if you work out, you can get ahead. Another very physical performer, Mariel Hemingway, in Personal Best, a film just like Flashdance, arguing for success through physical and mental fitness.
You want to change them? The weights.
Oh, no, I'll warm up with these.
Something wrong?
No, okay.
And now for the men, beginning with Richard Gere and Paul Schrader's American Gigolo, a film that was really one of the first to recognize the increasing national narcissism and concern with the body.
Listen to the recording and repeat what you hear. Listen, and then repeat. I am not interested in that.
Jag är inte intresserad av det.
I am not interested in that. Jag är inte intresserad av det.
How much farther have we to go?
Hur mycket längre är det att gå?
How much farther have we to go? You make it längre av det att gå.
John Travolta in Staying Alive, the Saturday Night Fever sequel, reshaped his somewhat scrawny body from the first film into that of a muscle man under the tutelage of Staying Alive's director, Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone.
Never gonna give you up for someone else's love. Never gonna let you go and lose the one I love. Oh, tonight.
Now, among the most talented younger performers today, there's Matthew Modine, and he's gone physical, playing a high school wrestler out to become the best wrestler in the state in Vision Quest. He's sort of a Rocky Jr. in that film. And now it seems like a week doesn't go by with us seeing a film about a young man or a young woman using their bodies to get ahead. For example, yesterday afternoon I saw Girls Just Want to Have Fun, about a bunch of girls and guys who compete to become the new dancers on a pop music TV show. Think of the young heroes in the movies only a few short years ago. Remember Woodward and Bernstein, Redford and Hoffman, newspaper reporters breaking the Watergate story? Today, the kids in the movies don't want Pulitzer Prizes. The films are saying the kids today would rather do somersaults. We have come a long way.
Well, you may be just a little bit unfair to the kids today.
No, I'm saying the kids in the movies.
Okay, well, and the kids in the audience go to see the movies that they want to see about the people they would like to be like in many cases. So you're talking about all the kids at once. Here's what I see. I see that we've come out of a period, and we're talking now not about artistry, but just about fashions in the movies, because there are good movies and bad movies in all sorts of different categories. And that is, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a great deal of nihilism in the movies, a great deal of dropout, reject society, buddies going on the road, totally rejecting middle-class values and so forth. Today what you're getting are people who are seen, once again, not necessarily as part of society, but as loners, as individuals, but who are trying to start with themselves and to feel good about themselves. It's almost like they've turned their back on society. Forget about changing society. I'm going to change these muscles. And I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it's positive as far as it goes. The question is, what do you do after you've got the perfect body? Do you go on to get the perfect mind, perfect society? Those will be movies these people can see in their 20s and 30s.
Well, I'd like to see a film about getting the perfect mind, frankly. I think that would be refreshing. Or living in the perfect society, yes, that would be perfect. I've had it enough, frankly, with these movies. I've seen enough people training themselves and training their bodies. After a while, frankly, muscles do get a little bit boring.
Okay, Gene, I've got the perfect double feature for you. First you develop a perfect body, then you go to see My Dinner with Andre.
Okay.
Next at the movies, a preview of Pump and Iron 2, a documentary about the world's strongest muscle women.
Let's go.
Yeah. So you
know why I look the way I look? I eat at Wendy's. Wendy's has a new light menu. Hundreds of lower calorie salads. With new fresh fruit. Hot baked potatoes. And pasta salad. Wendy's light menu even has a lower calorie multigrain bun. I always eat from Wendy's light menu. Can't you tell?
Try Wendy's new light menu.
When Arnold Schwarzenegger first walked off of Muscle Beach and became a movie star, teenagers liked him, but a lot of adults said he had too many muscles. He looked grotesque, so they said. By the time Sylvester Stallone made Rocky one of America's favorite movie heroes, muscles were accepted on men, but they were still not being accepted on women. A new documentary named Pumping Iron 2, The Women, follows the adventures of the world's top female bodybuilders before and after their international competition at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. And in this crucial scene, it's a fascinating scene too, the judges try to decide how many muscles a woman should have.
What we're looking for is something that's right down the middle. A woman that has a certain amount of aesthetic femininity, but yet have that muscle tone to show that she's an athlete.
I object to being told that there is a certain point beyond which women can't go in this sport. When you say that they should look athletic but not too masculine, what does that mean exactly? I mean, it's as though the U.S. Ski Federation told women skiers that they could only ski so fast.
Now, that's not just a theoretical discussion. They had a very specific reason for their controversy. Although all of the contestants were remarkably muscular women, one competitor went right off the map even as far as the other contestants were concerned. Her name was Bev Francis. She was from Australia. She was a 181-pound champion weightlifter who had slimmed down to 145 pounds of awesome muscle to enter this contest. And in a key and fascinating moment during the competition, there was a face-off between the massive Bev Francis and the defending world champion female bodybuilder, Rachel McLish. It was a very dramatic contrast.
Double biceps, please. Side chest.
Strange comparisons. I'll say.
Back double biceps.
Total opposites.
Come on, babe. That's it. Hold it high. High fives, baby.
Now, I'm not going to tell you who won that competition because finding out is one of the many pleasures of Pumping Iron 2, which is a fascinating documentary. I won't even get involved in the film's controversy over whether there is such a thing as a female bodybuilder with too many muscles. I'm just going to make a prediction as a movie critic, and that is, as soon as they find a female bodybuilder who can act, or an actress with big muscles, and we mean really big muscles, right, they're going to match her with Stallone or Schwarzenegger, and the box office results could be interesting. I can see Bev Francis in the ring with Rocky and Rocky V, or even as probably the best James Bond villain since Jaws.
And the key here is, in the past, you might have a muscle-bound character playing a supporting role. What's going on in the movies, the import of this show is they're starring roles. Stallone's a star, Schwarzenegger's a star, and in this movie, Pumping Iron 2, the women muscle builders are really big stars.
Well, I think you're right. So much for Flex, Pecs, and Sex, the new physical fitness craze in the movies. Next time, we're going to return with reviews of more new movies, including Chuck Norris and the thriller Code of Silence, and we'll take a look at that TV music dancer competition called Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Until then, we'll see you at the movies.
Diet Shasta now with the great taste of NutraSweet with 18 fabulous flavors. Even the toughest critics say, I want a pop. Diet Shasta. Raisinets and Goobers are playing everywhere, starring plump, juicy raisins and great golden peanuts. Both now feature creamy Nestle milk chocolate. Today's pledge does more than polish. Now spray it on your cloth. And it's great for everyday dusting, too.
The new documentary, Pumping Iron 2, The Women, would seem like just another chance to ogle some beautifully shapely female bodies. But actually, there's a pretty good story here, too. One that grew out of last year's big money female bodybuilding competition at Caesar's Palace Hotel in Las Vegas. Entered in the competition for the first time was a heavy-set female weightlifter from Australia who looked like, well, most people would say she looked like a man. Everyone agreed she had the most muscles of all the contestants. But shouldn't the standards for women bodybuilders be a little different from men? Shouldn't they be more feminine? Or should they? The judges and even the contestants argue about that subject all throughout Pumping Iron 2.
So, Carla, what do you honestly think of my chances in this? Believe it or not, most of your male judges will go for the more muscular physique. Yeah, I think so. The female judges will be one way or another. If you're muscular and quote-unquote what they think is a feminine physique, then you have a very good chance. And they don't make a point of making a clear separation between sexuality and sensuality. Yeah, that's right. And many people just totally fail to make that differential between sensuality and what is so important anyway. I mean, if we are that shallow in our relationships to people, and if femininity only depends on having muscles or not having muscles, then what happens to the woman who, let's say, has to have a mastectomy?
It's kind of interesting to see how the issue of feminism and the changing image of women in society has affected even a bodybuilding competition. And in addition to the intellectual element in the film, Pumping Iron 2 also works as both a who won it mystery, because you're never going to be able to figure out the exact order of finish in this contest, and it also works as a character study of 4 contestants who are absolutely fascinating, even with their clothes on. I like Pumping Iron 2 a lot, and I'm Gene Siskel at the movies.